drug trafficking, murder, kidnapping, and extortion. Pablo Emilio Escobar Gaviria, one of the most notorious and ruthless criminals in history, the son of a small farmer who became the world's most wanted man at a very young age, killing hundreds of people and stopping for nothing. The weekly income of Pablo Escobar was estimated at almost $450 million that he made by smuggling cocaine into the United States. A large number of anti-narcotics officers of the CIA from the United States, as well as agents from the Colombian government, were pursuing Escobar. But in his prime, he had more influence and power that could not have been matched by the president of any nation. Everyone was afraid of Escobar due to his brutality and violence. Africa Trendy released the list of the top 10 richest criminals in history. Unexpectedly or not, Pablo Escobar was at the top of the list in the 1980s. Pablo Escobar, the king of the cocaine cartel, is regarded as one of the most notorious criminals ever. Pablo Escobar gained notoriety for the first time during the Marlboro Wars, in which Escobar played a prominent role in the smuggling of cigarettes into Colombia. The future drug lord found that this incident was a useful training ground. He immediately made so much money from the smuggling business that he aimed to continue it at a higher level. He soon established himself as a drug trafficker. By the middle of the 1970s, he had contributed to the establishment of the criminal enterprise that would later become the Medellín Cartel. By the age of 22, he was the leader of a smuggling organization and had earned his first $1 million. Experts say at that time about 80% of the world's cocaine smuggling was done by Escobar, and that he used to smuggle more than 15 tons of cocaine each day. The total wealth of Pablo in today's world is estimated at over $50 billion. Now the question is, how he made this huge amount of money in such a short time. He had done terrible and shocking things in his life that included the kidnapping of some powerful people and the murder of thousands of people, including 600 police officers. People that were very close to Escobar were also afraid of him because murdering someone was nothing to him. He did not bear the people defying him and sentenced them to death on the spot. Escobar's way of handling problems was plata or plomo, meaning silver, bribes, or lead, bullets. Escobar's assassination schemes claimed the lives of some of Colombia's most powerful men, including politicians, the justice minister, and the commander of the country's anti-narcotics unit. He killed over 4,000 people, including police and government officers. Like kidnapping, assassination was one of Escobar's key methods of achieving his goals, because it also filled the hearts of his enemies with terror and fear. One of his well-known schemes involved blowing up a commercial airliner, which he thought presidential contender Cesar Gaviria was using. To intensify the explosion, one of Escobar's associates boarded the aircraft with explosives and sat on the seats that were directly above the fuel tank. All 107 common people on board were killed in the explosion. 3 more died when falling debris hit them on the ground. Pablo Escobar is also known as the king of the sea and the sky. He used both of these means to smuggle cocaine. To deliver his merchandise to the United States, the drug lord employed a variety of clever techniques. Some are still in use by gangs of smugglers today. At first, Pablo's cocaine was shipped in a small aircraft, the Piper PA-18 Super Cub, in 1970. Throughout his early professional years, he used this aircraft to trade cocaine. Afterward, Pablo took to the skies in a Cessna. In 1997, the Cessna's first shipment smuggled 250 kilograms of cocaine for Pablo in a single flight. Not just planes and ships, they also introduced the so-called mules. These are individuals who consume drug capsules or carry them on their bodies by swallowing them in latex bags. In the 1980s, the drug smuggling of Escobar was at its peak. The cartel started smuggling cocaine through Panama as well. Mexican messengers would then transport it overland across Mexico and the border into the United States. Those were merely some of the tools utilized to flood the US with narcotics. Escobar made approximately $5 billion annually in profit by bringing up to 2 tons of cocaine into Florida every week. Escobar purchased a Learjet in the middle of the 1980s to transport money out of the United States. Escobar made many drug labs all over Colombia, mostly in jungles where they couldn't be tracked. Despite being a well-known criminal, he had a good reputation among some of the Colombians. He constructed clinics, churches, sports facilities, and public parks because he sought to win the support of the general population. Due to all of these efforts, people gave him the nickname Robin Hood. Even after he started to earn billions of dollars from the cocaine business, he founded organizations for individual rights in his adopted city of Medellín that helped the people living in poor barrios and gave housing to the homeless. Even local soccer teams were financed by him. On June 19, 1991, Pablo Escobar turned himself in to the police and agreed to spend his life in a prison designed by him, La Catedral. Rather than being a real jail, the prison had more in common with a lavish resort. Escobar considered his comfort while designing the prison. It had a bar, disco, waterfall, soccer field, spa, jacuzzi, and a small zoo. He used to meet his family and friends there. Escobar designed his own security and kept his bodyguards to protect him. He was the ideal setting for Escobar to maintain control of his cocaine empire while inside. Escobar could still easily smuggle cocaine and manage his cartel, despite his terms for surrender. Unfortunately, his brutality didn't stop there, and he killed some members at La Catedral. After this incident, the government decided to shift him to a more appropriate jail. In July 1992, Escobar ran away from that prison through an escape route that he had built before he was caught by local authorities and DEA. Escobar's escape was a very embarrassing point for the Colombian government, and they asked the United States for help. All of the people who faced Escobar's violence, his enemies, Colombian authorities, and the DEA, along with the United States government, combined against him and wanted Escobar dead. Pablo Escobar's net worth was over $30 billion at the time of his death in 1993. He played hide-and-seek with police and DEA for almost 16 months. During this time, he established himself in a safe place and recorded a radio interview where he taunted the government about his escape. He asked the government to behave well with his family and not blame them for his crimes. At that point, Escobar was willing to surrender with certain conditions, but the government didn't agree. The king of cocaine was hidden from everyone, and on December 2, 1993, he was celebrating his 44th birthday in the final hours before his death. He was alone and he was missing his family. He got emotional at that time and made the most ridiculous mistake ever by contacting his family hours before his death. It proved to be a turning point. His family was being surveilled by the government, and all of their activities and satellite phone calls were monitored. They traced the location from his satellite phone call and caught him in the middle of a city in a small house. Escobar and his only bodyguard made it to the roof as Colombian forces attacked the building. Escobar was shot and killed by gunfire after a subsequent chase and gunfight. Before, he was celebrating his birthday, and now he was dead. It looks like he knew that their phones were tapped and that they could monitor his location in no time. Still, he sacrificed his life for the sake of his family. He chose his death on the day of his birth. He died on his own terms, like he lived his whole life. Don't forget to boop the like button and subscribe for more interesting videos. Thanks for watching.